So now SSupply can be used with another functionality called split, and that makes it really useful in finding those function values, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, or any of the functions that we define, okay, by first grouping the rows of the data according to a factor variable. So you have like sex, so you want males and females separated out, or you have major, so you want accounting, management, finance separated out, and you want the mean for each of those groups. That's where the split is helpful. So split splits the rows or groups them into those categories. Okay. So let's say that we split and put it into X. We don't have to, but we can put it into X. So say empty cars, right? And then you specify for split, you must X and then an F. F is the factor. So you have to specify what that factor is. So let's say we want to use the cylinders as the factor. Empty cars, okay, cylinder. So when we do that, you see X is created here as a list of 3 elements, okay. And if you expand that, you see that the first item is 4, and then you have a bunch of rows. Then the second element is 6 cylinders, all the rows corresponding to 6 cylinders, and then 8 cylinders. Okay, so it's grouped into 4, 6, and 8, and then we can apply, say SSupply X, right? And then we want column means as the function here. So you need to do function X column means, okay, column means of X separated by all the rows and all the columns. So X has, well, there are 3 elements, and within the 3 elements there are lots of rows, right? So the comma here says, okay, the first element, second element, and third element, all of them one by one, and then within each of those elements all the items, okay. And so it is separated by that, okay. So and then of course, you know, in this case it doesn't matter, but NA dot RM equal to true. Okay, so now since we didn't specify any particular variable, this has been applied, the SSupply has been applied to all the variables, and they are separated by the factor, which is the cylinder. So 4 cylinders, 6 cylinders, 8 cylinders, and we get the mean of all of them. Now we have tapply. Okay. Tapply is same as SSupply and lapply. Okay. So if you use simplify equal to true, then that will be SSupply. Otherwise, it will be lapply. But the difference is that this only takes vectors. It doesn't take data frame. So you have to give it a vector, one column at a time of a data frame. So if you did tapply and empty cars, that will give you an error. You have to select just one variable. All right. And then you can specify the factor, okay, and then specify the function you want. Okay. So what you get here is the T apply is going, it's like the two together, split and apply together. So if you did this, then you get a vector. Okay, simplify equal to true is the default. But if you want a list, then you have to specify simplify equal to false. That will give you a list. And then we have apply. Okay, L apply, S apply, and then T apply, and then simply apply. It operates on the margin. So margin equal to 1 means it's a row. These are the rows. Margin equal to 2 is these are the columns. So margin equal to 2 would be same as S apply and L apply because it's all for the columns, right? So if you want to go by the rows, that's when apply will be useful. And margin equal to 1 is the default, I think. So if you did apply empty cars and then mean, then match function. Okay. So I have to give margin, I guess. Okay. So margin 1, I have to give margin, it doesn't take default. Margin 1, of course, here it does it, when you take empty cars and then you average the miles per gallon, HP and blah blah blah, that's not going to be anything meaningful. Okay. Margin 2 is what's meaningful, and for margin 2, instead of using margin 2, we can always use S apply, right, or L apply. Okay. And we can use apply for selected columns. Okay. Again, like before, so you have apply empty cars. Let's say we want to go by columns, and then you specify a list of columns. Okay. So selected columns. Finally, we have M apply, and M apply is very useful if you have to create. Now, so far, all the applies, we applied it one column at a time or one row at a time in the case of apply. Okay. We did something to one single column. But suppose we want to do something with two different columns, okay, taking two columns at a time. That's when M apply is useful. So if you want to create, like calculate a proportion, so you have how much raise somebody got and what is their base salary, you want to divide the two and find what the percentage is. Or you have the percentage of the base salary and you want to multiply and find what the raise amount is, things like that. So let's say that we want, now I'm going to use arrests. Okay. USA arrests. Okay. So here is the data for USA arrests. And suppose we want M apply, right? So here function comes first in M apply. In all the other applies, you give the data first and then you have the function at the end. So here, say function, so there are two things coming in. And then what is the operation? X over y, right? And then you give what the x is. Say we want the murder, and then that's your x, and urban population. So you want the murder rate for the urban population. It's a new column, so you can then capture it and put it into the data frame. So this is M apply. M apply, okay, is different from the other applies because now you have more than one column, so that's why it's multivariate. That M stands for multivariate. All right, I'll see you next week.